Hi everyone, Bruce here at eTrailer. Today we're going to take a look at and install Firestone Airide airbags on our 2022 Chevy Silverado 3500. Have you ever loaded the back of your truck up and noticed it squatting and the front end's higher than the rear end? Well, then an airbag may be for you. What the airbags are really going to allow you to do is if you're carrying those heavy loads and your truck is squatting, you can level out your truck, which makes it for a safer ride with braking, steering, and everything that comes along with towing anything heavy. Now, with that being said, you can adjust these bags from 5 psi to 100 psi. This gives you plenty of room to make those adjustments to get your truck back to level if you're carrying those heavy loads. And these bags do have a load leveling capacity of 5,000 pounds. Now let's go ahead and take a look at the Schrader valve here. The Schrader valve is what the fill valve is to fill up the airbags. Now, if you notice, we've only got one on this particular vehicle. That is because we have an onboard air compressor. If you don't have an onboard air compressor, normally you're going to have 2 of these and you're going to have 1 per bag. So with that being said, I highly recommend doing an onboard air compressor. It's really going to help you out with things. You've only got 1 of these to run, and you don't really ever have to fill it here unless your compressor's not working properly. And you can mix and match. There's an airlift compressor, or you can go the Firestone compressor way. You can mix and match the two. It's not going to hurt anything. In the kit, you're going to get everything you need. We're looking at one of the airbags here, and you're also going to get all your Airlines, air fittings, and all your hardware you need to go ahead and install these. With that being said, if you don't want to install these yourself, check out our dealer locator on etrailer.com. But if you want to go ahead and tackle it at home, stick around, I'll show you how. So to begin this installation, you will need to remove the spare tire and a heat shield that's over on the passenger side covering up the exhaust. You will have to remove that. Right here, what I'm doing is going ahead and raising the rear of the vehicle because we've got to get the jounce bumpers off, and we're just trying to get room to do that. We're going to need to get the jounce bumpers off. We're going to go ahead and use some soapy water and a screwdriver, or you can use a pry bar. We're going to try the screwdriver first, but we just want to squirt this down real good with soapy water. You just got to keep working it out. Now, these aren't not factory jounce bumpers, just an FYI. These are Timberlands, and these actually sit in a little bit tighter than the factory ones, so there she goes. Just keep working at it like that, and they'll just pop right out. Now, we were working on the driver's side. Just remember that anything we do to that side, you're going to just duplicate on the other side unless we note that. So let's go ahead and grab our upper bracket and our 2 clamps here. You're going to need 6 flange nuts, 4 cap screws, and these countersunk screws. And we're going to take these clamps, place one here. The screws go up underneath, like so. And we're just going to loosely tighten all these for now. Grab our other side, do the same thing. Now we're going to go ahead and grab our 1/4-20 bolts and our 1/4-20 flange nuts. And go ahead and take that, and you want this bolt to come in from this direction. So pay attention to that, and we're just going to loosely tighten that. Do the back side. And that completes our upper bracket for our driver's side. We're just going to do the same thing for the passenger side. Now we need to go ahead and grab our upper bracket that we built earlier, and we're going to put it right over this jounce bumper cup here. So it's basically this whole piece is going to go around it. It's acting like a clamp. And we're just going to feed that over it like that. And now we're going to go ahead and tighten the black bolts up here. And we want to tighten those evenly. So tighten a little bit on this side, go to the other side, tighten it up a little bit, and make sure this bracket here is all the way up against it with no air gaps in between it. Now that we do have the upper bracket mounted, clamped to the jounce bumper mount, we need to go ahead and tighten these 4 bolts up. Now, these top ones, it uses a 3/8. You don't really need it on the back side because it's got a serrated flange nut, so you should be good there. And we're just gonna snug these up as well. Now we need to go ahead and take our bottom bracket here and go ahead and mount it to our air spring. Now this is going to use the little short black cap screw here. We're going to take this plate, put it right on top, and we're just going to hand tighten this for now. We just got to go ahead and install this, and we're going to mark where this lays and then pull it back out and tighten this up. This little screw nub that's poking up, that is our airline going into the airbags. So, and then we have an alignment pin here. So the alignment pin is going to face to the outside of the vehicle, and your air fitting piece is going to face to the inside of the vehicle. Now if you come up to the plate, the big hole here, that's for our air fitting piece to go up in, and we want the alignment pin to go in the center hole of this bracket here. All right, take our assembly here. We're just going to feed it in, and all you're going to do is push down on the bag just like this to get it up under there. Now I am going to guide it, and then I'm going to guide that center pin. If you can see my finger, that center pin's going to go directly in that hole. Now make sure that is all the way in there. You don't want it setting on the edge here because it will damage your airbags. Just like that. Now we're going to take the bottom bracket and we're going to line all that up. And what we want here, see how I just came out of that spot? So let me double check and make sure we're still, see, it switched on me, so be careful of that. That's the outside hole. That's the middle hole. Okay. Then we're going to, now that we have that pen lined up, we're going to take a marker and we're going to mark the airbag, the silver piece, to the black piece here, and then we're going to remove it. Let me grab a marker real quick. We've got our marking pen here, and we're just going to mark the black piece and the silver piece here, just like that. And then we're going to go ahead and remove that bag. If you see our lines there, so we're just going to line those lines up and then tighten it down. Now that you have that tightened down, just make sure your marks are lined up and we can go ahead and put the bag back in. Again, just remember when we do put that bag in that this alignment pin right here has to go in the center hole. Make sure it's all the way seated in that hole, otherwise you're going to have a problem and that's not a warrantable issue. So now you want to grab 2 of these spring hooks here and 2 of the carriage bolts, and we're on the back side of the vehicle, but you're just going to do the same thing on the front side here because you got a tab on the front side of the axle here as well. So we're going to take the hook and it's going to go right up underneath this piece here. Our carriage bolt goes in like so. We can take a flange nut. We'll take another flange nut and go ahead and screw that on. Here's a better look at the bolt that we just put in. Now, just remember, we do want to tighten this evenly on both sides. So we're going to give this a few turns and go to the other side a few turns and keep doing that until we get them snugged up. Now we're going to go ahead and take our star washer and put it right here. And then our big nut, it will go on top. We'll gonna snug that down real quick. Don't go hog crazy with it, just snug it up. We don't want to bust this little tip here. So just snugged up is good enough. So now we're just gonna take our air fitting and go ahead and screw it right into the top of here and go ahead and snug that up. And do not over tighten it. No ugga-duggas involved on this one, just snugged up. So here we're looking at the passenger side. It's gonna mount up just like the driver's side. The only difference is you're gonna have to put the heat shield here for the exhaust. So the thing is, you don't want this directly over the axle over here. You just want it in the correct position to block that heat from the bag, or going to the bag. Now here is our Schrader valve, which is our fill valve. Use a 5/16 inch drill bit and drill a hole in here. Just be aware of anything behind it, because there is some wiring back there that you may have to kind of move out of the way a little bit. Just be sure you're not drilling through any of your wiring. And also, you notice we only have one here because we did do an onboard compressor on this particular vehicle. But if you're not doing an onboard compressor, you're gonna have two of these valves. One will be for the driver's side airbag, and the other one will be for the passenger side airbag. To go ahead and run our Airlines. Now, the system we're working with today, we've only got one fill valve and we're going to a T, but if you're just running just the airbags alone, you will have two of those fill valves. One will go to the passenger side and one will go to the driver's side. Let's go ahead and take a look at that and get our Airlines ran. Now, if we come in here, this is our airbag. If you notice the red line coming down, that's going directly into our airbag. And we do have a T-fitting here because we did install a compressor system. So without a compressor system, you're basically gonna run that line directly from your airbag directly to the back of the vehicle, and it's gonna poke out here and go to a fill valve. You'll do that exact same thing on the other side, so you'll end up with two fill valves. And test them with soapy water. There is one thing I do want to mention when you are running the Airlines. When you cut the Airlines, either use a utility knife or an actual tubing cutter with a razor blade on it. You don't want to use anything like scissors or wire cutters or anything like that, because you will actually pinch it and not cut it right. So I would recommend just using a utility knife, put it on a hard surface, and make sure you get a good, straight, clean cut. Now that we do have our Airlines ran, we're gonna go ahead and test them for leaks. And we're just gonna take the soapy water and spray our connections down. Now, you're not gonna have this T connection, but I did it, so I need to test it anyway. And then we'll get the one down on the airbag. And then our fill valve at the back. Now, this does complete our installation of our Firestone Airide airbags on our 2022 Chevy Silverado 3500. I'm Bruce. Thanks for watching.